I'm Rissa Miller. Welcome to Animal Advocates of South Central PA's YouTube channel. Today, we're going to talk about winter foraging. When you're foraging, always try and remember a few of the basic safety procedures. First and foremost, always be able to identify what you're looking for. Don't necessarily trust someone on social media. They have your best interests at heart usually, but they aren't always sure. Get yourself a guidebook or take a class. Absolutely, positively, identify the plants that you are foraging and you intend to consume. The next thing to remember is to forage in a place that is safe. If you are not allowed in your region to forage in state parks or county parks, try to find someone with a nice piece of property that does not spray with pesticides or herbicides or any other chemicals that could hurt you, so that you can have a comfortable place to forage. It's also best not to forage at dog parks. I know that might seem kind of like a no-brainer, but just because it's a dog park doesn't mean it's a great place for all activities, including foraging. Even though you're going to see some really excellent plants, even in the winter, right by the roadsides, highways, train tracks, airports are not appropriate places to forage. Even too close to the foundation of any building is not an appropriate place to forage or grow your food. It is advised to be at least 6 feet back from a building, at least 6 yards back from a road, and 30 yards back from any major highway, train track, or airport, just to make sure that there is nothing leaching into the soil and thus up the root of the plant into the actual plant you will be consuming that is a toxin. When you're foraging, don't take more than you need. It's really exciting when you find a new plant and you're ready to go make some tea and some salad and some soup, and you take a whole bunch. But always be realistic about what you actually need and what you have time to process. All wild foods need to be washed off, processed, and some need to be cooked. So if you don't need it and you're really not going to eat it, leave it, because wildlife does need it. Remember that poison ivy is viable even in its winter form. So if you are allergic to poison ivy, still be careful of things you touch in the woods. And finally, when you're introducing new wild foods to your diet, it's better to start small than to start with a great big bunch of it, just to make sure your system likes it and that you're going to digest it okay. So the superstar of winter foraging is definitely the white pine. If you are in the mid-Atlantic area, the chances of you finding this tree are really, really good. The way you can identify it, the white pine has very long, very soft needles, and in each little bunch, there are 5. White pine is really a vitamin C superstar. It has more vitamin C than citrus or most other things that you would think of as vitamin C rich. To harvest some of the needles, I use a clipper like this. Then you're going to take this home, give it a little rinse, and you're going to make a tonic in vinegar. All you really need to do is, once you've washed this, cut it up with some scissors or kitchen shears, throw it into a jar, cover it with raw apple cider vinegar, and in a few weeks you'll have a super powered vitamin C tonic. You can take it straight like a fire cider, or you can use it to make salad dressing, marinades, or anything else that makes it easier to get the vinegar down. Depending on the winter weather where you are, you can sometimes find familiar springtime friends like this wild onion nestled down in the leaves. There are different ways to harvest wild onion. So if you want to just use the top, that works like chives in any recipe. Fantastic, fresh, oniony, garlicky flavor. And a great way to make sure you've identified the plant correctly is to break some of the greens and smell. If it smells like garlic and onion, you've got either wild garlic or wild onion and you're safe and ready to go. Not sure? Rub it on your skin. You'll definitely smell it then. So if you want to take the whole plant, you're going to need something to dig with. I love my forager's knife. It's also called a Japanese garden knife or hori knife. And what I'm going to do is just push some of the leaves aside, dig down in, and go after these delicious wild onions. There they are. You can eat the whole plant, and they smell very oniony and fresh. These are delicious in soups or stews, and you can pretty much use them any way that you would normally use onion or garlic. Here we are, back on the forest floor. This beauty is garlic mustard. Now, garlic mustard is in the kale family, but it is an invasive plant in North America. So basically, take as much as you'd like. It does taste and smell a little bit like a cross between kale and garlic. To identify it, pluck a piece out. In the winter, it's mostly going to be kidney shaped. These are the fresh new leaves that come up usually in the spring, but here we are in January. We're in a warm snap and we've got some garlic mustard growing. You can recognize the telltale curve and kidney shape. It is not yet a mature garlic mustard. They will get quite tall and bushy, but if you aren't sure and you really want to know, rub it between your hands like this until the leaf gets nice and juicy. My hands are even a little bit green. And when you smell it, it smells like garlic. There's absolutely no mistaking the identification on this plant. What you can do with this plant, after you have sort of rooted through the leaves and found a bunch of them, a few of these have been damaged by the cold. So you can sort of see on this one, it has some white spots from the cold, but I would still eat this one. I would eat this one. And there's lots all around me. You sort of take your knife and dig through the leaves and find enough to make a wrap. Add some to your salad. Yeah, here's the whole plant. You can see this guy. The ground is soft today. You could harvest the roots of this one. The roots are very flavorful. They smell just like horseradish and they taste just as spicy as horseradish. So this whole plant is usable and edible. Other things you can do with garlic mustard include putting them in soups or stews. They are nice and sturdy. They will hold up just like kale or spinach to heat. You can saute it, eat it just straight out of a pan with a little olive oil, use it in a wrap, on your sandwich, or in a salad. Garlic mustard is incredibly versatile and super good for you. Give it a try. This plant, a spice bush, is one of my favorite native plants in the Mid-Atlantic region. So it doesn't look like much right now, but I have to tell you, it's really exciting to find one of these in the wild. So you can always sort of tell that you've reached a spice bush. There are two telltale signs. First, the dark bark with the little white dots. Very distinctive. And then, if you think you're looking at a spice bush, you can either break off a tiny stick, give it a little scratch, and smell it, or scratch the stem of the main plant and smell that. It smells very distinctive. It is sort of like a spicy combination of cinnamon, allspice, cardamom. That kind of flavor just comes singing through with this plant. Now, what do you do with this as a winter forager? Take a few sticks like this and put them in your pack. Just a couple. You don't need much. Leave plenty for the tree. And you're going to take these home, chop them up, and brew them into a tea. This is a fantastic tea if you have a cold or if you just want something that has sort of a chai spice kind of flavor. As you can see, even in winter, there is food to be found in the bountiful forest. I hope that you'll get out sometime this winter and look around in a space near you. In the Mid-Atlantic region, you can also find winter rosehips, crab apples, black walnut, and members of the cress family, like bittercress and watercress. Thank you so much for joining me today at Animal Advocates YouTube channel. Happy foraging.